Richard Grenell failed, therefore Kamla, Persad Besasar must succeed. Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago is the only level of communication that is still left between the sovereign governments of Venezuela and the United States of America. This planet counts on Prime Minister Kamla to revert war, as it seems that the United States is determined in a regime change war in Venezuela, to which Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago has clearly stated she does not support, as she is willing to engage with the government of President Maduro for redeploying Dragon gas deal. It is quite an achievement, and if she succeeds, she should definitely be considered as a candidate for the Nobel Prize of Peace. Traditional and alternative media both have bombarded us with gossip on prior misunderstandings, lousy language, and radical positions that should be taken into account just as background for further negotiations. Venezuela needs the investment. Venezuela needs the OFAC license. Trinidad and Tobago needs the gas. Both Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago need the jobs and the income. Caribbean countries would be best served by de-escalating warring language as a heritage from the 20th century Cold War. And we should instead unite our economies in mutually beneficial petroleum and gas projects. Diplomacy nowadays is extremely tough. Yesterday morning, I went in person to the Embassy of Trinidad and Tobago to research on the Dragon gas deal negotiations after having been turned away by PDVSA Oil Company of Venezuela last Friday. The Embassy of Trinidad and Tobago in Caracas has no ambassador, and certainly Prime Minister Kamla Persad Besasar has stressed out that one of her foreign policy goals is to appoint a new ambassador. Therefore, after clearing various levels of security at Trinidad and Tobago Embassy headquarters in Caracas, I was informed by the clerical staff that they have no personnel suitable for addressing these high-level bilateral issues. And they provided me an email address to which I could convey my requests in writing. That is an email address that I already knew, to which I had already written to, but I have received no reply yet. I also wrote a letter to the Foreign Ministry of Trinidad and Tobago in Port of Spain, but have not received any reply yet. This morning, I decided to write additional letters to both the Ambassador of Guyana in Caracas and the Guyana Foreign Office in Georgetown. And of course, I have received no reply either. That is probably okay, as they provide those addresses to the public so that we can inform them on issues. However, it is clear that Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago have a great opportunity in avoiding war in the Caribbean as they maintain a diplomatic relationship with the United States and with Venezuela. Both are countries that would prefer to maintain some peace, and both countries also realize that countering drug trade and countering illegal immigration is also a goal. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez once said that good relations with several countries in South America is a goal that has not been fulfilled yet. Venezuela tends to have better relations with Africa and Asia than with Latin America and some countries of the Caribbean. Even though Venezuela has a good political relationship with St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we appreciate Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves coming from time to time into Venezuela, such as last weekend, we have no significant economic development projects involving our countries, but we do have a very interesting Dragon gas project between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago, which must be resuscitated, as both economies will improve. Unfortunately, the United States is making things very tough, as they clearly are seeking war. Yesterday morning, the president of the Venezuelan National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, informed the world that the location where the former embassy of the United States is located, which is still United States territory within Caracas, was threatened by terrorism. However, terrorist attack was averted. Venezuela counts on keeping peace. Our military is deploying continuous patrolling of military aircraft along our coast, and our Navy is well prepared with missiles and drones should the United States choose to attack from Puerto Rico, Panama, or elsewhere in the Caribbean. Venezuela will avert such attacks. It is not clear how the United States will finance these war activities in both Iran and Venezuela, as their government is still experiencing shutdown. Control tower flight radar operators at airports such as Burbank, California, and Nashville, Tennessee, are already being deserted because of lack of flight activity, as they cannot take off or land, as there is no control tower guidance. Furthermore, inventory of missiles in the whole United States military is dropping down to dangerously low levels after years of engagement in various wars, including Gaza and Ukraine. Somehow, the United States plans to manage full-scale wars into Iran and into Venezuela and into the states of Oregon, Illinois, and California against their own civil population. It is not clear how the United States will finance so many wars at the same time, and how the United States will have enough munition to support attacks in all those wars simultaneously. military factories are behind the speed that Russia and Iran have deployed for quick production of ammunition. Even the Venezuelan factory of ammunition is working at full capacity, and the Venezuelan military has plenty of munition, drones, aircraft, ships, radars, and troops to offset the limited forces United States have deployed in the Caribbean so far. For the time being, we remain calm. And similarly seems to be happening in Iran, where they have already deployed a fantastic defense blockade aided by Russia. I would not like to bet which war will start first, if United States civil war, or Iran war, or Venezuelan war. Especially considering that articles of impeachment are hastily being written and will be proposed to Congress within the next few sessions. While Republican luminaries such as Marjorie Taylor Greene is increasingly siding with Democrats at a number of issues. The articles of impeachment are accusing both President Donald Trump and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth as traitors to the country. Similarly, in Venezuela, our penal code considers traitors of the Venezuelan homeland to a series of extremists who have been calling for invasion and lobbying to United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Richard Grenell was supposed to be a great negotiator, but he was not able to gain respect. He recently tweeted some warlike comment in favor of Pete Hegseth, which suggests that Richard Grenell no longer behaves as a diplomat. As the Venezuelan options for dealing with the United States are not within the United States, it is important that Venezuela warms up to our Caribbean neighbors, Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana. Prime Minister Kamla knows that the Dragon gas deal, as well as the Manakin and the Manatee Plataforma Deltana fields in Venezuela, should be exploited for the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. And President Irfan Ali of Guyana, while he has welcomed United States military protection for Guyana, he is now realizing that the Caribbean must shift its stance from a region of peace to a region of common defense. Therefore, in all this mess, there are a few points of agreement between Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago, and Guyana that must be nurtured, as our two neighbors would become our de facto mediators with the United States. Venezuela relations with Guyana could improve a lot if we leave the topic of the Essequibo dispute aside again, even though at some point we will have to dialogue on it. The Guyana public opinion is realizing that they need better terms of trade with the companies they award blocks for oil and gas exploration, and Trinidad and Tobago is learning the hard way that is also the case. Venezuela knows that is the case, but perhaps Venezuela acts so fiercely that business partners rightly or wrongly, feel intimidated. CARICOM countries such as Grenada and Jamaica, who also have oil and gas reserves, should join Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana and Venezuela to set forth a common Caribbean desirable oil and gas trade and exploitation that benefits our populations, our countries, on reasonable terms that should be accepted by international investors, which will always be seeking profit. Chevron Corporation continues extracting oil in Venezuela. However, volumes are lower than they used to be, perhaps due to this threat of war. President Nicolás Maduro will probably continue writing letters to Donald Trump, or he might continue fostering other diplomatic channels through Middle Eastern partners such as Qatar, because mediation with the United States should not be looked as out of the question, but more as an inefficient treatment of negotiations by Richard Grenell, who failed to earn respect. The United States is desperate for imposing conditions to both Iran and Venezuela, neither of which will concede. Iran has long-range missiles capable of attacking Mar-a-Lago personal residence of Donald Trump in Florida, United States. And as the United States prepares to send Tomahawk missiles into Ukraine, Russia is prepared to engage in full-scale war while providing Oreshnik missiles to Venezuela, which can also be pointed to the United States. This scenario is of increasing probability and, of course, is not a desirable scenario for the survival of the human species. Another hope comes on the figure of President of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who spoke on the telephone to Donald Trump. They will reconsider the tariff economical war, and they will meet in person later this year, probably at an economic summit in Asia in the near future. Brazil is a well-respected partner in South America. It is one of the world's largest economies, and Lula da Silva would be a great facilitator of future talks between the three countries that are most at odds, such as Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago, and Guyana, because if we manage to solve our local differences, Southeastern Caribbean Sea will become, rather than a focus for war, we could turn our region as a massive opportunity for industrial development. Trinidad and Tobago economy has recently stagnated. Venezuelan economy during many years has declined, and Guyana's economy shows signs of peaking if proceeds from oil sales are not adequately negotiated with oil majors extracting petroleum and gas there. It is urgent that CARICOM and CELAC meet at a presidential or foreign minister level. the United Nations recently completed a successful 80th anniversary General Assembly that adequately addressed many shortcomings. In this month of October, the Russian Federation has earned the presidency of the United Nations Security Council, providing Venezuela an extra layer of confidence that our calls for peace and deterrence in the Caribbean are respected. The wild card is Donald Trump's health and decisions. It looks like Donald Trump is trying to find a way or a moment to bombard either Iran or Venezuela or both, while the defense capabilities of Iran and Venezuela are increasingly being described as fabulous. Government shutdown in the United States is promoting unemployment, and it is concerning that last Friday, the non-farm payrolls were not disclosed. Cities in South Florida, such as Miami and Doral, are experiencing a downturn due to deportations. It is actually interesting to ask ourselves how deportations of Venezuelans out of the United States will be conducted if the United States has broken formal negotiating links with the Venezuelan government. We will be checking if plane loads of deported Venezuelan nationals continue arriving into Maiquetía Airport as peacefully as it has happened throughout this year 2025. Deportations to Venezuela up to now have been conducted uneventfully. There are 300,000 Venezuelan nationals waiting to be deported as they have exceeded their temporary protection status. We urge the United States government to continue links with the Venezuelan government through deportation arrangements and through OFAC license negotiations through Prime Minister Kamla while a high-level security consideration for the Caribbean should be advanced by Guyana President Irfan Ali, who knows very well that the Caribbean will not be safe with only United States weapons, and that the Venezuelan missiles, drones, aircraft, and navy supplied by China, Iran, and Russia are also significant and important for a pan-Caribbean defense strategy. And of course, Venezuela must learn on efficiencies that are made possible by the presidency of Irfan Ali and by the Prime Ministry of Kamla Persad, who are business friendly. And while Venezuela cherishes its sovereignty, Venezuela also needs to improve in its ways of conducting business, as we still are struggling with bureaucracy and regulations that deter foreign investment into the country. While sanctions play a great part on the decline of Venezuelan oil industry, it is also noticeable that doing business with Venezuela is hard. I am a patriotic Venezuelan, but I do not believe that it was a good call from PDVSA to reject my request for pursuing the Dragon gas deal without any explanation. It looks like both the Trump administration and the Maduro administration are sticking to their hardline positions so hard, and that lack of dialogue may lead to war. I extend again my thanks to Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Besasar, whose destiny may become securing peace for the Caribbean as a prerequisite for being awarded a great Dragon gas deal for the benefit of Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension, Guyana, which should join in.